Hello and welcome, everybody. It is Thursday night, so it is time once again for the Tank Show, where we get together as a group of friends and a community and spend some time acquiring new knowledge, at least in theory, anyways, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to give it a couple minutes, let some people get rolling in here. Hello, Mary Beth and Delilah. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Probably be a little bit smaller crowd tonight than usual since I didn't schedule it the hour out. And we all know how YouTube is with notifications, so shame on me, and they're going to punish me for it. That's fine, because we'll have a nice, cozy audience tonight. Ed, how are you feeling? You doing well?
Yeah, I think I'm doing a little better every day. I really am.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. How's the fish room looking? I know you had a lot of work to do in there.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm thinking about totally taking a couple of the tanks and not scrapping them, but completely emptying them out and starting from square one and just having an empty tank and start over.
Absolutely. Sometimes that can be fun. It can be enjoyable. So I look forward to seeing what you do with that. I've got a tank. I haven't decided if I should do it. But basically what I'm looking at is I have one tank that I grew a bunch of algae in. And it started off unintentional. And then once the algae started to grow, I just kind of stoked the fire and made it grow as much as I possibly could. And the plan was to do a video to see if we can fix it. I mean, it's horrible. There's not a plant leaf in it that doesn't have some form of hair algae or other algae on it. It's got duckweed all over it. I put way too much light, both in terms of too strong and in terms of too lengthy, and then didn't do water change. I did all the things you should not do for a planted tank, and there are no fish in it. There are some snails. But I'm thinking about doing that as a video to see if we can bring it back. So you all let me know in the chat if you all think that would be something fun to check out. It would take some drastic measures to fix it. The hashtag bobbleheads, that is definitely the send over from John. And of course, Lisa at KG Tropicals. Thank you all so much. I hope you're doing well. And John, I'm going to catch you on Fortnite sooner or later, buddy. I know you've been busy, but we're going to have to play a couple games.
Maybe I'll learn just to do it.
I hope so, Ed. One of these days, I'm going to get you.
I might be a natural.
You might be.
I might be like Babe Ruth.
You might be. However, anytime you go, I can't see, where are my glasses? I'll always know they're on your head. So, whether you're here or not. Huge thank you to Lilibet. Thank you so much for the $3 super sticker with that cute little fox saying, how's it going? I appreciate that so very much. Thank you for the love and support. And also thank you to Melissa Jesswall using her membership super chat there. Been a member for 16 months. Very much appreciate you, Melissa. Of course, you know that. Says, you guys rock. You rock, Melissa. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member. Tonight, we are not doing a so-called topic. Last week, our topic kind of took away from the chat. We didn't get to answer all the questions last week. So I want to make sure we get to all of the questions and comments from the chat tonight. Freddie Fazbear, thank you so much, says nice angelfish in the back, fish room fever. And that's exactly how you do it. If you've got a question or a comment that you would like us to read live, you put fish room fever in there. If you put the @ symbol, it will definitely highlight for me. Although on this system, it usually does highlight even without the @ symbol. But my name before or after your question or comment, and we'll be happy to read those and see if we can help if you need help or just sound off whatever you've got to say tonight. All right. So you said tonight, Ed, on your show, Rico will not be joining you, correct?
Yeah, Rico is feeling sick right now, so he's not going to be here.
Gotcha. Now, do we have somebody else joining tonight?
Yes, Kenny E is going to be joining us.
Good old Kenny E from T.A.N.K Aquatics. I saw him in the chat there. That's going to be a fun talk. That's going to happen after this hour. We're going to go over to Craft, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Finn Wiggles, thank you so much for that $2 super sticker with that cute little fox with all the hearts behind it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love and support, Finn. Long time a friend and supporter of the channel. Freddie says, oops, chat jumped on me. I have some angelfish and cory cats in my 29-gallon. That's awesome. I love angelfish, and I'm glad that you went with cory cats in there. That's one of those that anytime people give us the generic question of what should I add to my tank, and they list off fish and there's no cory cats, Ed in particular, but myself included, we always add some cory cats. You'll definitely enjoy it.
They make everything better.
They really, really do. Alice B says, I'm going to lock that in there so it stops scrolling on me. I got my first pea puffer and wanted to add more. Not sure I do. They Wanted to add more. I'm just going to read it as it is. Not sure I do. They will fight or kill each other. So asking if they'll fight or kill each other. They are $280 here in Australia. I knew they were expensive out there, so not sure if it's worth the risk. So generally, well, Ed, do you want to take this one? I know usually you give the pea puffer advice when they come up.
Yeah, I don't know why, but
It's your thing, buddy.
what size tank was it?
There was no tank size there.
Make sure you get at least 3, which is super expensive. That would be almost $700 probably. I mean, I don't know what their taxes are, but I mean, it's kind of rough because if you buy 2, one's going to chase the other and become dominant. If you have 3, at least they'll tag team each other a little and also have line of sight breaks. So have a big log in the middle of the tank so they can be around. If you have a log, make sure it has a lot of holes because they like to explore in those holes. Give them a lot of stuff to do. Just don't put them in an empty tank where they're just going to do nothing but chase each other.
Absolutely.
But go ahead.
I was I'm going to say do all that stuff to the tank, but I personally am not buying 2 more at $280 a piece. But yeah, like Ed said, don't do
I don't
a lot of times with 2 they tend to fight, like Ed said. So I'd probably stick with 1 if I were you, Alice. That's awfully pricey, and I'd hate to lose $300 plus, of course, a fish that's very hard to come by over there.
I mean, they're so cute.
But
are they worth that much money? I don't know.
So Mary Beth would like to know, she says, Fish Room Fever, what is the most exciting thing going on in your fish room? And then it will also be the same question for you as well, Ed.
Okay.
For me, everything is kind of at a standstill. I keep looking at this tank because I need to do some aquascaping on this tank. I need to pretty it up. It's just gravel and a bunch of pieces of wood. But once I get into the project, so basically I have a rack of 16 10-gallon tanks that some of you all have seen. I need to rip that down. And I'm going to take that wood and build a custom stand to go in that location that will hold both of my 25-gallon rimless tanks, along with the 7-gallon tank I got from the Big Fish Deal Aquascape contest, and a couple other smaller tanks like the Nano, the Fluval Spec that I got from John Peck Tech. That'll go on there. It's kind of going to be like my showcase for either tanks that I've gotten from shows or tanks that I've gotten from other YouTube people, things like that. So that's the exciting thing. But with the home situation and the little one and not knowing exactly long term what's going on with our nephew, space is the issue. So space has always been the issue, cramming tons and tons of tanks into a single wide. But I've got to find space to put those tanks once I rip that down, and then I could build the new setup. So that's the most exciting thing. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, is getting that set up, getting those 25-gallon cubes set up and aquascaped. One of them was scaped by Fish Tank Barn, so that's going to stay pretty much the way he has it, minus changing of plants. And then the other one, I bought that massive piece of wood at the last Aquashella, which some of you all saw. That's going to be a really fun scape because that hardwood sticks out about, I don't know, that far, maybe a little bit further. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Those are the things that I'm really excited for. On to you, Ed.
Well, I'm going to be moving. I've been growing Synodontis in a 20 long. They're grown up, and I'm going to move them into a 40 breeder that I've set up on a sump. I'm going to move my ornate Bichers out of their 40 breeder, and it's a different 40 breeder, into the 125, and I'm going to try to collect as many fish out of the 125 as I can. It's going to be hard because I probably have like 200 swordtails, not the swordtail guppies, and probably 2,000 cherry shrimp. So I'm going to just try to snag as many as I can, and I'm going to put them all in the 75 with my 2 old angels in there, and then the Bichers will have that big tank to grow up in, and I think the 2 angels have had a 75 tank forever, and it just seems crazy that just 2 angels in the 75 gallon. But I don't want to put the Bichers in the 75 gallon because I think that they'll destroy the plants in there, because it's got some plants that are like personal, because I got those from Nathan.
Yeah,
Tantric Aquatics.
yeah.
And the Bishers are pretty good at. Well, even though I guess Sean Peck's Bisher doesn't destroy his plants.
No.
Be a lot easier just to move the 2 angels instead of 1,000 fish or 1,000 shrimp and 200 or 300 swordtails.
It's definitely possible, and the Bisher tank is right here. Why I keep looking at that. It's definitely possible, but I've not had any experience with the Bishers really ripping things up. The times that I have had planted tanks with Bishers in them, it seems like I had fish that were aggressive enough to hold their own with the Bishers, and those tended to be the fish that I had issues with. So
my problem is I've got like a big Anubias in their tank, and one of them likes to lay on the Anubias, and it's always ripping a leaf off by laying, just it looks like it's dead, like a belt being thrown, and it slowly breaks them off, and I'm always finding leaves in that tank, and it makes me sick because it's a big, pretty plant. So,
absolutely, no, that makes sense.
But I mean, it's the tank only really has 3 plants. It has 2 giant Java ferns and 1 giant Anubias.
Okay.
I could probably pull the Anubias if I had to.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious to see what you do with it. Groundtail Half Moon says, can you share what nitrifying bacteria you recommend / use to kickstart new tanks to put fishies immediately? Any advice? So I will say I've not personally used any of the bacteria in a bottle, any of the nitrifying bacteria. I tend to have plenty of sources via sponge filters and other media. If I need to cycle a tank, I can move something over that way. Again, keeping in mind I haven't personally used it, I have heard a lot of great things about the Fritz product. Fritzymes. There's Turbostart, and then there's a Fritzyme.
Oh.
Oh goodness. This is how much I've used it. Like I said, not used it. But I have heard great things about the Fritz product. And I know that you can get that on keepfishkeeping.com. John and Lisa's website there, amongst many other places, of course.
Happy birthday, Paul.
Yeah, happy birthday, Paul.
He's told to say not.
If I was going to pick one, that's the one I would go with, just because I've heard a lot of good things from a lot of good people. But as I said, I haven't personally been in that situation. What about you, Ed? Bacteria in a bottle.
Yeah, I've used the Turbo Start. I think it's awesome, but I'm too cheap. I would much rather just use a sponge filter, since I have like 70 of them, 75 of them. And I actually have more than that. So I've got clean ones sitting on the shelf, so I can pull an old one out of a nice grungy old tank and put it in a new tank, and then put the new one in there and go from there.
Absolutely. Hip Hop Hillbilly, good to see you here again. I know you had some questions last week. Says, got the first fish in my tank, 3 neon blue dwarf gouramis and 3 peacock gudgeons and a planted 40-gallon breeder. Loving them. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for y'all's help with the questions. Absolutely. You're more than welcome, Hip Hop Hillbilly. Thank you for coming by and asking the questions last week. It's always fun. Yeah, it's always fun getting to help people out. At least try to help people out when they're setting up new tanks and hearing what their plans and ideas are. And I'm glad that you were enjoying the fish and that everything is going well for you. All right, get back up here. Alice B says, I've also got live blackworms. For the first, they are in the fridge, and I changed the water today, but some fell out. I know it's a dumb question, but is there any easy way to change the water?
Wait, the fish fell out?
No, just talking about blackworms. Easy way to change the water for blackworms. Well, I've not. Go ahead.
I mean, the problem is if you're like siphoning up mulm and stuff, but if you're just wanting to do nothing but water, what I do for like, if I've got a lot of fry in a tank, I'll put some pantyhose, and don't put ones that you've been into a washing machine. Just go to the dollar store and buy a pair of $1 pantyhose, cut it, put it on there, put a zip tie. Like I always keep zip ties around, and you can siphon up your water, and you'll get the water and nothing else. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's about the best way I could think of to do it. I'm sure there are probably a couple people in the chat that have worked out some ways to do it, because I know we have some subscribers and other channels that are in here that do that a lot in terms of keeping the blackworms. So I'm gonna try and keep an eye on the chat, see if anything comes up relevant.
Can I show something?
Yeah, go right ahead, buddy.
Okay, last week at Aquaticon, I won this guy. It's a Dr. Tim's. I think it's Dr. Tim's. Yeah, a Dr. Tim's little tray. It's a rubber tray for making like rapashi squares or frozen brine shrimp food or whatever you want. Well, okay, my sister always likes to go to Goodwill and see what's there. And we went to Goodwill. Look, okay, this sells for $20 to $30 online. This thing. Look what I found at Goodwill for 99 cents.
Oh, wow.
Now, I think it's for ice cubes, but it's the exact same material as this.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
How crazy.
That is awesome.
99 cents. Always keep, and it was sitting on top of a bed. Like, not a bed, but a bed header. What do they call a bed that doesn't have a mattress?
Just the bed frame? Headboard?
Yeah, the bed parts. It was sitting on top of the bed parts. So
that's awesome. That's a good find right there.
Too cool. So I got 2 within 2 weeks.
Delilah's Critter says, sadly, I've been unsuccessful finding my turtle, trying to figure out what to do with 165 above ground pond. Maybe guppies and some great pond plants, ? I'd love to hear your ideas. I think that's an awesome idea. And I know Ed can get behind that because he's all about the guppy ponds. I haven't scratched that itch yet. I go over to Ed's and I've seen his ponds with all those guppies in there, and I absolutely love it. So that's almost the direction I would go for. Do some really nice plants like you mentioned. But I would try and get how would I do this? Let's see. I think it would be neat to build a section of it that's immersed, and you could have vegetation and growth and all that type of stuff, and some plants up there as well to make it multi-dimensional or multi-level versus just, and no offense to you, but just the standard pond or just a standard tub of, oh, it's got fish in it and aquatic plants and it's a big bucket with stuff in it, which those are awesome. But I think it'd be nice to see something a little bit different. And I know you're creative enough to get in there with some silicone or some spray foam or some things like that and build a structure and make that happen. So that's what I would love to see from that. Just my personal opinion. But you, Ed?
For $1, you can start with the structure like this and build it on it. Because like my craft tonight is actually going to be pond related or fish tub related. So get ready, folks. But like my tubs are a little too high for my fountains that I put in there to keep the water cool in the summer and, you know, keep it aerated. So I put that on there, and it's like dual purpose. I don't want the fry and the fish sleeping at night being sucked into it. So it's a little above. Notice I also keep the pantyhose on there. I bought black pantyhose that blends in better with it.
Oh, yeah.
But so things aren't going to get sucked into it. Or, you know, fish won't get sucked into the actual thing, the fountain. But yeah, so she can do all sorts of fun stuff. But she might already have that stuff for her turtle in there. You know?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So that would be probably an easy conversion, if much of a conversion at all.
The one bummer is if you want lilies, because lilies look amazing in the ponds. When the water hyacinth pops, it is just a beautiful, beautiful purple flower, but it only lasts maybe 2 days. It sucks. And from what I learned is if you buy the real pretty ones at like Lowe's and stuff, they only last for a few days also. Because I was wondering if they pop a lot because people are buying them just for the flower.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, they don't last long either, even though I haven't experimented with them. But I do plan on it.
Definitely. Let me get back up here. My chat jumped on me. I know we had one. There it is. DK Chef, who'd asked a question last week. Said any luck finding information on the Payne's catfish? So yes, I've got. Well, I say yes, some. There's not a lot out there, as you already know. The best information I found so far is from Planet Catfish, and I'll get you a link because they actually did an article. It was one of their catfish of the month a while ago at some point. But I'll get you that link. I think that's probably the best starting place. And planetcatfish.com is like the catfish resource. So that'll give you somewhere to start. Let me pause myself in the background. There we go. Newbie mistakes, I tell you. I will find that real quick for you, get you that link. Second part of that question was where'd it go? There we go. Paints Catfish also have 3 lines of mystery snow eggs. Recommendations on how to add calcium. Ed, do you want to talk about adding calcium to a tank while I get that link?
Yeah, well, mystery snails and foxy fish, they have like links to go to a certain page, and I think is it called Crayfish Kingdom or something? Oh gosh, somebody help me. But they're called snail cookies, and they're loaded with calcium, and you can just drop that in there, and they'll eat it, and they'll get a lot of calcium in that way.
That is probably one of the better ways to do it. I've tried some other things, from the boiled eggshell trick to various other sources. The only other thing that I could really recommend for like mass calcium amounts that I found that really actually helped with the mystery snails when I was breeding them was just another drop-in product. It wasn't the cookie, but it was another one of those products that was specifically to help snails with their shell development and with calcium and keep their shells from pitting and all of that stuff. Here we go. Here's this link. Copy that. We'll drop that in the chat here.
Bunny Viper wants to know where I got these. I got this one at Goodwill. I know that you can probably find it at Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know how much, but I would go to Amazon and just look up ice trays, rubber ice trays. And
Absolutely.
then this one is like one that you get off the internet from Dr. Tim's or stores that sell Dr. Tim's.
Yep.
And it's like 3 times too much, maybe 4 times too much to spend. So, yep. Sorry.
That's such an awesome find. Lilibet says, my angels have decided to pair off, and now they took over half of my 75. Any advice on keeping the babies alive? So one thing I've found to help keep the eggs from fungusing is to have some decent flow in the area. That fresh, of course, the parents should, theoretically take care of the eggs and all that. But making sure there's some decent flow in the area. And then just keep an eye on them. I don't know what they've spawned on, if you've got something that it would be possible to take the eggs out if need be. But I would get, so for me in the past, I've used methylene blue to help prevent fungusing. Be very careful with it, not just to keep it from turning your hands blue, but also very small dosages. Follow the directions accordingly in terms of that application. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully they're good parents and they take care of them. Just get some extra circulation in there. And the other thing I would probably do, if it looks like they're starting to get aggressive toward the eggs, which can happen sometimes, I have had to cover the front of the tank before to keep the parents from eating them, because the parents got spooked and decided to eat the eggs because it wasn't a safe environment to raise babies in. Same thing can happen with aggressive tank mates. Sometimes they can decide that the babies don't stand a chance and they eat the eggs because other fish in the tank. Do you have anything you wanted to throw on there, buddy?
No, I think that was great. Now,
excuse me.
Somebody asked me on Facebook this week, and I apologize, I couldn't find who it was. James and I like to discuss what we're going to talk about on the show, and we also go through questions throughout the week. And one of them was somebody's having a problem with Hydra, and I'm so sorry I couldn't figure out who was asking how to get rid of Hydra. But the old way was you added a little bit of liquid copper, but that's going to knock out all your invertebrates. So but it's a guaranteed way to get rid of them. What about, do powder blue grommies, the little blue grommies, do they eat hydra?
I don't think I've ever had them in a tank with hydra to observe that or not. It's a good question.
Gosh, I was also, there's something else that loves to eat it, and I can't remember what it was. But the one time I had hydra, I didn't have real plants and I didn't have any invertebrates, so I was able to use the copper, and it wiped them out instantly. But
absolutely.
That was
Amanda Baker. Oh, sorry.
Ago. Nope, that was like 30 years ago. So
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, buddy. My apologies for that.
Nope.
Amanda Baker says, have juvenile apistogrammas with an eye to allow breeding behavior. Is it okay to keep them in a community tank with peppered cories and bristlenose plecos? If it's just the cories and the plecos, I would personally feel safe doing that. Just because I'm not saying it's not possible. I know I've heard some people that have had horror, stories with bristlenose plecos, and they ate all of their shrimp or their eggs or whatnot. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but I've never experienced that in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bristlenose. Breeding them out, I've never seen them do anything that would make me think they would go after them. The cories, possibly, because the cories are bad about even eating their own eggs at times. So they might go after something small. But I really don't think there'd be a problem. Somebody probably has had a problem with that somewhere at some point, but I personally would not be worried about it. Especially if you've got a well set up fish tank and it's got sight breaks and all of those wonderful things going on. Ed looking at stuff over there. We're gonna come right. Oh, go ahead.
I'm reading. Sarah brought up no planaria, as a treatment, and so I'm just reading. It looks like no planaria would wipe them out too. It does. It works on hydra and doesn't hurt your shrimp. So no planaria. Nice. Great one, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Good to know that. And see, that's what I love about this community. Always got awesome people in here dropping the knowledge, even when Ed and myself don't have it.
I wish I would have brought my no planaria upstairs for an example. Oh, today I was talking to the internet people in town that are other than cable, hoping that I could get somebody new and they would just install it in my fish room. Turns out my cable's the only one that does it. Everybody else does it only for business and
I gotcha.
Big stuff. Commercial and business.
That makes sense. Well, we just got to get you a hardwire run down to the fish room. Paul Sotero dropping some information here about an upcoming event. He says, James, the Carolina Aquarium Expo is this Saturday, 8400 Regent Parkway in Fort Mill, South Carolina, 29715. For anybody interested in going, I'm sure it's going to be an awesome event. There's the information for you. Again, that's the Carolina Aquarium Expo this Saturday, 8400 Regent Parkway, Fort Mill, South Carolina, 29715. Thank you, Paul, for letting us in on that information.
I've been failing. I haven't been setting up like 3 or 4 years ago when James and I first started getting going, we would do updates on where all the events were every week. And I've completely stopped because of the pandemic. And then I need to start doing that again. But this week, I'll be at the Chattanooga swap, the Chattanooga Club swap. Oh, and I don't know where it's at or anything.
That's always a fun time. We'll have to find out. Let's see here. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, any suggestions on a plant I can set up with roots in the tank / hang on back that won't grow out of control? You're just wanting roots in the tank. I'm going to have to think on that one. Because I say pothos or pothos, but that tends to get growing once it gets going. It really grows.
Sweet potatoes work great. Just buy it at like a farmer's market. Don't buy it like at a grocery store, because what they'll do is they'll knock all the eyes off so it's not lumpy and bumpy. And those little eyes are the starts of your roots. So go to a farmer's market where you got all those little bumps all over the eyes, and then you'll be good to go. And you'll have like, it almost looks like a pothos, but it's like a little bush of a pothos instead. It won't be viney.
Now, I have always enjoyed lucky bamboo. Just make sure you do lucky bamboo and not generic. It's a whole different species, whole different plant. That can be a fun one that I've played around with. Its roots in the tank. I have to think on that. Something that won't grow out of control. Of course, the lucky bamboo won't, but I'm sure there's something else really cool we can come up with. / this chat can come up with. There's a challenge for you people. We got about 100 people hanging out, and I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here. Thank you so much. Let us know in the chat if you have a really cool plant that we could put and hang on back for hillbilly or hip hop.
I've also tried elephant ears, or I'm about to start elephant ears. I've got 2 of the pods, and I just haven't hooked it up yet. I might start it outside in the tubs.
That would be cool. Yeah, definitely.
Pretty neat.
See. Grab this super chat on the way through here. Our buddy Austin, Fantastic Freaks with the $2 super chat says, be a fantastic viewer and hit that like, fishy folks. Yes, all the likes are appreciated. If you're having a good time, you're hanging out still at least. It can't be that bad of a time, right? Smash that like button. Do us a favor. We appreciate it. And thank you so much, Austin, for the support. The $2 super chat, my friend. Never expected, always appreciated. I about flipped that backwards there. But Austin wouldn't care because I can give him a hard time.
I missed him this week.
I did too. I need to get back into the loop on everybody. Matthew, good to see you again. Says, well, I made it to Alabama. I can't watch right now, but made it. Gonna watch a movie with my cousins. Well,
Nice.
When you catch the replay, I hope you enjoyed the movie. Thanks for swinging on through, Matthew, and I'm glad you made it safe to Alabama. Hopefully you can check out some fish stores while you're down there.
Yep, there's a good one in Huntsville.
There you go. Fish Tank Dad using that member super chat. Thank you so much for being a member, part of the Fish from Fever family. I've been a member for 5 months. Says, woo! Just woo! Nothing else. Appreciate that so much. I hope you're doing well, Fish Tank Dad. Alice B. Jumped on me. Let's get back up there. Alice's question. It's a rolling. It's a scrolling. There we go. Stop. Nope, it's gone. It is gone. I'm going to find it. All right, there we go. Alice B says, I'm using a different mouse, and this one, when I scrolled, it went all the way up to the beginning. Thanks for the idea, Ed. One more question. I want to breed my stir-by cories from my community tank. Well, what to move them to a breeding tank and remove them after they lay eggs? What size is good?
You know, I've never bred stir-by. Have you?
I haven't done stir-by. I've done pandas and some others, but I haven't done stir-bys.
Yeah, I mean, some lay their eggs on the glass, which make it easy, and some just kind of scatter them around. So,
yeah.
If anybody has any stir-by knowledge, hit us with it.
And honestly, I'm one of those people that if I'm moving something into a breeding purpose tank, because I guess the overall question is what's a good size to breed them in and then pull them out of. I mean, I did a 10-gallon with my pandas. If you've got a bigger tank accessible, available, and I know you're in liters over there, but that's the size that I would do for breeding. Actually, now I'd probably do a 20 because I've got some extra 20 longs lying around along with so many other sizes. This is part of the problem is you're like, well, I've got that 10, and then I'm like, no, I've got a 20. I'm like, well, I've got an empty 55, and it just keeps going. It's that fish room fever. It's that multi-tank addiction, multi-tank syndrome. It'll get you bad. 10-gallon is easy to manage the eggs and the babies and all of that, and that's kind of the forethought that I'm putting into it when I look at it. If you're going to put the cories in, have them breed and then pull the parents and then have those babies in that new tank, I would like to have them in a tin personally, just because it's a decent amount of water volume, so it's easier to keep parameters stable than doing a 5 or something small that you might equate to just hatching eggs out in and doing a little bit of grow out. But it's also it's easily treatable if you did need to put any type of medication in there, or if you needed to put, methylene blue to help the eggs from fungusing. It's easy to get circulation in there, but not too much circulation to keep the eggs from fungusing. It's easy to feed them in that size tank without the food getting kind of lost everywhere. And that's why I support the 10-gallon aquarium. Now, that started to sound like a paid promotion for 10 gallons there, but those are my thoughts on it.
Well, my dad back in the 70s, he bred all of his Cory cats in 10-gallon tanks. They were all slate bottom, no substrate, no plants, just a box filter. And he did have floating, like, it looked like Christmas trees wreath type stuff. Or, you know, it was like metal that held all the plastic wires with floats on it. I don't think they even sell anything like that anymore, but look,
I don't think so.
But and I mean, he produced a lot of them. He never pulled the eggs. He just let them stay on the glass and go.
Absolutely. I just want to say a huge thank you to our moderator team. You all do an awesome job each and every week, and you get paid absolutely nothing for doing it. So a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for dropping the links and keeping, I'd say the chat in line, but keeping, myself in line more often than not. Appreciate you all very, very much. Look at TJ Autocross coming in with that $10 super sticker with the exercise pair doing the thank you bow. TJ, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate that support from you and that love. I know you've been a longtime friend of the Fisherman Fever channel, so thank you. Glad to see you, as always, with or without the super chat. Glad to have you here, but thank you for the support, my friend. Let's see. Oh, Matthew is still hanging out, I guess, or at least was. Said, I visited Aquatic Cove in Alabama, mostly saltwater, but it has fresh. I don't think we've been to that one. I know we've had a couple down through there, but I don't think we've been to that one. Who knows? Maybe we'll get through there one day. I hope you had a good time checking it out. I know for people that are only into freshwater, it can sometimes be disheartening when you find a fish store and it's the only fish store and it's primarily saltwater. But I would encourage you all to take that opportunity to just look around at the salt, enjoy it, and who knows, maybe you get a little bug to try that out one of these days. It can be fun, challenging, but fun.
For sure.
Let's see. Paul says something here. Paul Ster's always dropping knowledge. Let's see what he's got to say. Says use freeze-dried blackworms and tube effects, no water changes or stink. Open the jar, stick the cube on the glass, and watch the feeding frenzy. Yes, very good point. And that trick with sticking the cube on the glass, that's one of those old school favorites that I love so very much. Very good advice there. You kind of take that cube and get it in the water and then smush it so it absorbs. Then you can just right on the glass. All right. I'm going to get caught up here. Maybe I might. I'm about 15 minutes behind, which is where I'm supposed to be according to the moderator team. Paul, once again with some knowledge, says, Ed should try water lilies. Many of the newer varieties are rebloomers. All the flowering pond plants are heavy feeders. Lots of online sources.
Well, they have those at Lowe's, and they sell them in a 6-pack. And I was thinking about buying like 2 of those packs and trying them out. And I also want to look at the root system because that's what I love about water hyacinths. The huge black root system. It's just gigantic. It's great for guppies. And that sweet potato, now it'll also have a huge root system that's all white, and it's pretty neat looking.
Absolutely. It's funny how sometimes, like the sweet potato is a perfect example. You could take something very plain, and then you get this really cool root system out of it. But you wouldn't know that if you hadn't tried it or seen it. You wouldn't necessarily expect that from it. So very, very cool. Carlos Diaz says, I have to move everything from a 30-gallon planted tank with fluval substrate to a 60-gallon with just gravel. Both tanks are 2 years old. Is it safe to merge the substrates for the plants? It's just crypts and swords. After 2 years, now, if you've been, substrate dosing, you've been putting tabs and things like that in, this is not necessarily applicable, but after 2 years, I don't know that you've really got much in terms of nutrients left in that fluval substrate. It's possible. And again, like I said, if you've been dosing things and you've been adding root tabs and stuff, yes. The reason I mention that is I don't know if you're trying to get the fluval substrate in there to help add some nutrients, since you mentioned it is just gravel in the other tank. If that's the case, you may not be getting the nutrients you think you are, and I may look into some additional fertilizer. That being said, I don't know of any reason you can't merge the two. I've done that many times. sometimes just for aesthetic purposes, if nothing else, if I'm moving a tank, I'm breaking one down, I'm moving stuff to a new tank. Sometimes it's a nice excuse to rescape a tank, add some things in. So I don't have any reason not to. Should be safe, absolutely. To answer your question, yes, should be safe.
And plants are kind of, I don't want to say tougher, but they handle change a lot better than, like, say, a fish generally.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes something in the water will make it fall apart, but if you're going from the same water conditions, I think you're going to be fine as long as you give it food to eat.
Plants can be a lot more forgiving than we give them credit for. Absolutely. Alrighty, roll on down here. Matthew says, I can't watch the stream, but I've made it. I made it to Alabama 2 days ago. I'm going to watch a movie with cousins. Grab that one again. Absolutely, Matthew. And again, thanks for swinging by, my friend. There was Sarah's question to show you how far I am behind. I'm at 9:56 Eastern time on my chat time stamp. So,
oh, you're only 15.
Yeah, that's the standard. That's the status quo, is what Zen and Matt and the mods tell me. If I'm not 15 minutes behind, I'm doing something wrong. Paul Steros says, Hydra usually show up when there's extra food in the water column. Usually PBS. Stop the BBS for a week to 10 days, and the Hydra will be gone. There you go. They had not tried that before. Well, I haven't run into the instance where I needed to try that, but that is good to know in case I do. Thank you, Paul.
I really like to overfeed is my problem.
Yeah, which, I mean, when you got lots of babies and stuff and you're like power breeding, if you will, that could be a good thing. Crypt Keeper Aquatic says, what's up, Fish Room Fever in Chattanooga, Ed? Hanging out with you all, having an awesome Thursday night. What's up, Crypt Keeper? All right. Throw on down here. Fantastic Freak saying bamboo, maybe. Yep, there we go. So the lucky bamboo. Again, mangrove, that's an excellent one in terms of the plants we were looking for suggestions. What about Persian Shield? That's not one I'm familiar with. I have to look that up. I'll do that off to the side here. I am curious, but I don't want to stop the stream to. Well, I guess we could all take a look at it, because that's not one I hear a lot. So there may be some other people. Oh, that is a beautiful plant. Some other people that are not familiar with it. Let's share that with the group here. Care to share with the class? Share.
Do I need to click something?
Oh no, you're good. I was just making a joke. Do you care to share with the class? Did you bring enough candy to share with the class? Bing images. That's what we're looking for.
I only brought 2.
Look at that. Definitely a beautiful plant. Of course, I am partial to blues and purples, but like, look at that right there. That's gorgeous. That mix of metallic blue and purple hues to it.
That thing's awesome.
That is. Let me find who that was again. That was DK Chef. DK Chef, I'm going to have to give you a pat on the back. That is an awesome suggestion there. I've not. Is
that like Wandering Jew?
I've not validated how well it would grow with aquatically fed roots, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's planted or potted with dirt nutrients, if you will, for lack of better terminology at the moment. But I would do a little bit of research just to verify that you can do it in an aquatic environment, and then go for it. And if it's not too expensive, give it a try. Watch somebody to pop up and be like, no, James, that's toxic to fish, and something I didn't know. But of course, I'm going to say give it a try.
That looks so much like Wandering Jew.
Let's do this.
We've had that in our front yard for years.
And do that. Oh, that is pretty as well.
Yeah, we've had it just literally forever.
All right. Get back here. Find my chat. I find you all. I've lost you. Any of my friends. Whip, I see ya. Hip Hop Hillbilly, I see you as well. I appreciate those super chats. I'll get to those in just a second. I'm almost there. Paul says you could use Peace Lily. I'm not going to do the Latin. I'm not up for doing that tonight. That says it grows much slower than pothos. So there you go. All right. That is comments not addressed to me, so I'm going to jump over that. And there we are. Hip Hop Hillbilly. Thank you so much, my friend, for the $2 super chat. Says, see any issues with adding sumo loaches? Thank you.
There's some sumo loaches.
How cute. Well, Ed, there you go. You got the sumo loach pulled up. What's your answer there?
What's he putting in it? I'm sorry, Hillbilly.
So, make sure I've got this right. This is the Planet 40 breeder that's got the 3 gourami and the 3 pistos, I think.
You're going to be fine, I think.
Yeah,
This
I don't
tank
remember.
has angelfish in it, and they're just as aggressive as those. They're not going to bother a little guy like that. They're from what I understand, they stay about this big, but maybe they get big.
Yeah,
But they're so cute with their little checkerboard fin and their pink stripe in the middle.
they are. They're a cute little fish when you get to see them. Now, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. I don't remember anything off your list that caused a warning when we were talking about what fish you were looking at putting in there last week. I think that sumo loaches would be a cool addition and should do well in there. And thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Not necessary to ask the questions, but always very, very much appreciated. Help support the channel, pay the bills, keep the lights on around here.
They get to 4 inches.
That's a neat fish.
They're not going to bother anything but the snails, probably.
Yeah, if that. Yeah. Matthew Clayton says, Fishroom Fever, do you gentlemen have experience with matin filters? Ed, have you done matin filters before?
Well, I know I've made filters that look just like man filters before man filters were a thing. Like where it's a sponge that you can put across your tank and you pull water from the backside out. So they just work just like sponge filters. It's just they're kind of bigger than what I like, so I prefer the sponge filter.
Absolutely. So I have done a couple of DIY matin filters. I personally have not, and nothing against them. If that's what you want to do, they work great, especially when set up properly. They have certain environments that they're phenomenal for, like shrimp tank. Shrimp absolutely love to get on that matin filter and just go to town grazing on that thing nonstop. But I personally have not found any reason to take the time to purchase and set up a tank with a matin filter that superseded any of the positive results I got from sponge filters. It is essentially a different style of sponge filter, if you will. Except they're neat, and they do have their uses. Nothing against setting them up. If you're wanting to do matin filters, go for it. I think they look awesome, and I think they do create, like I said, a really good grazing environment for a lot of small things like shrimp and whatnot. I have sponge filters, and it's so easy for me to just plug one into the linear air pump and flip the little valve up on the PVC pipe, and I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. So,
and it's
kind
so
of
easy
spoiled
to hide.
in a sense. Yeah, it is easy to hide as well.
Are so big.
Yeah. Finwiggle says the mods haven't put me in timeout yet, so I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. You stay out of trouble there, Finn. Hello to Bjorn Bear Skull. Good to see you. So Bjorn, come in here and say hello to everyone. All right, let's see if I can get caught up. We got about 11 minutes left. Whip's World. What's going on, Whip? I don't know if you could tell. You probably knew by the color.
Very cool.
Green screen going nuts. Got my Whip's World shirt on. Thank you again for sending that to me. Whip is another one of those awesome guys. It's part of the Fisher and Fever family of channels, just like Austin the Fantastic Freaks. And now see, it's like, do I name everybody or not? Kenny Danick and Aquatics in here. I saw Grant from the Garden of Eater in here, and a couple other awesome people that 100% are community driven with great sources of knowledge. Anyway, moving on from all that, Whip, thank you, buddy, for that $2 super sticker with that cute little fox going number one. You're number one, my friend. I appreciate
and awesome
you.
Steve-O, Enrico.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, I'm like, how far down the list do I go? Yeah, that's awesome. The group that we have. It is. And I love these guys. Also, I'm required to say good things about Whip because he's a big guy and he'll beat me up if I don't. So there's that. But that's just kidding, buddy.
We didn't have a choice.
Nope,
He
no
joined
choice.
us. We didn't join him.
Carlos Diaz says, thanks, guys.
That
It makes
didn't
me
make
feel
sense.
better. And I do use all the co-op fertilizers. Yeah, you'll be fine moving those plants into that bigger tank, mix the substrate. However you choose to do it, you're using some additional fertilizers in there, so you're going to do just fine, Carlos. Don't stress over it. Enjoy it. Enjoy getting to rescape that larger tank with those plants and things. Definitely be fun. There we go. Paul Sotero. And this is, again, why I gave the guy a wrench. Always dropping the knowledge. Says Persian shield can be rooted in water. So I don't even have to research it because Paul's on top of the stuff. That is going to have to be a plant that I add to the fish room because it is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it too.
All right. Sorry, this headset is driving me nuts today. Roll on down through here. Almost caught up. I might have caught up. Let's look. 10:20. I think I'm caught up. I'm going to roll back up just to make sure I didn't miss anything. If you have any last minute questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. We'll be happy to answer those or any comments you want us to read out. While I'm going through here, just double checking. Ed, do you want to tell people what you're working on tonight on the Crafted Show coming up in less than 10 minutes?
Well, I'm getting ready to do my summer tubbing. This year, I'm scaling back a lot because of all that's gone on with my heart and everything. So we're only going to do 2 110s outside this year, but I'm going to try to do a lot of 20s, I think. And I bought my first 2 20s, and I'm going to show how I'm going to make the lid to keep the frogs and the dragonflies out of it.
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing how you do this. I just saw one. It wasn't highlighted, but I'm going to grab it. Anyway, Jennifer Weaver was talking about the matin filter. Says, I have one matin on a 15. That's 5 minutes to put it in the tank, and the clearest tank I have, a sponge filter in the rest of my tanks. Yeah, so that is a very good point, Jennifer. You can definitely get some additional clarity, especially if you're using a very fine sponge in terms of porosity. You get some really good water filtration going through that, and you tend to get a lot more than you do get from a sponge. But as you mentioned there is a little bit more work goes into putting that sponge in and taking the sponge out on that mat setup. But everything has a trade-off, right?
The coolest thing I ever saw with a Madden filter was somebody, I think they had blackworms in their tank, and they had either an apisto or a ram. It was some type of, but it was like just going back and forth with its face up against the black, and then a worm would pop out and it would snag it out.
Nice.
It was so cool.
That is awesome. Definitely awesome. Finn Wiggle says, last minute question, Fish Room Fever. What do you do if you're attacked by a group of clowns? Try and get a video with them because the missus is horribly afraid of clowns. So, there's the answer. Finn Wiggle says you go for the juggler. Absolutely. No, I'm going to try and get some footage to scare Mrs. Fever.
No clowns or group of clowns should ever attack James. And I'll just leave it at that.
I'm a big enough clown without their help. So, we'll get there. Paul Stero says it's 50% off tanks, select sizes in parentheses, month at Petco. Half off tanks at Petco this month, select sizes. Good to know. I don't need any, but I'm sure there are probably some people out there that do. So thanks for dropping that tidbit of knowledge there, Paul. That way people can get some good deals and maybe set up a couple extra tanks.
Petco does sell the 5-gallon tanks, but it's 10 and up on their sale. At least it was in the past, because I've always wanted to get a whole mess of 5 gallons, and they would never sell them that way.
Absolutely. Hey, there's Susan for SLC Aquatics waving in the chat. It was good to see you. It was great to hang out with you again, Susan. Thank you so much for coming up to Aquaticon and hanging out and helping out and having a good time. I really, really do appreciate it. I love hanging out with all you awesome fishy people. So that was a blast.
It was so much fun. And, she was in Knoxville when the blackouts happened last, I guess it was,
that's right.
Friday? Yeah, it was Friday.
I think it was Thursday, only because I missed a message from her. I read it afterwards. She asked if we were going to stream that night and said she was in town for the night. And I'm sorry, Susan, that I didn't see that and get back to you in time. I saw it after the fact, and I was like, I feel bad. I don't know what to say.
Well, we did stream Thursday. It was Friday.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right, I caught everything. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
My power went out for about 5.5 hours. I got lucky.
Yeah, we had a while. It was funny. So I'll tell this little story since I have a couple minutes, which is not usual. But the kids, particularly my 8-year-old, he's about to be 9 next month rather. That's time flies. Anyways, he thought it was the end of the world. Like you would have thought you threw him into the apocalypse, because they scheduled it to where the Comcast, even after the power came on, the Comcast wasn't scheduled to be turned back on until 5:30 the next morning. And then it moved to after 8 o'clock the next morning. But we got the little notice thing off the website and told him, like, look, there's not going to be any internet until tomorrow. And you would have thought it was the end of the world. This is the one that is usually up late and sleeps about 5 hours and is up bright and early. 8 o'clock rolled around and he's like, can I have my medicine? I'm going to bed. I can't stay awake till tomorrow for this to come on. But I felt like I had failed as a parent, because he's like, oh, the internet. And I'm like, go outside. So I took them outside in the rain and we went hunting for worms to feed the fish. So that was fun. I didn't necessarily enjoy it at first, but they got used to it. Finn Wiggles with that $5 super chat, super sticker right there with the exercise pair, doing the mic drop. Let's see if I can drop the mic there. That's the best I can do with this setup here in terms of a mic drop. So, but thank you so much, Finn. I appreciate it. Really, really do. Thank you for all the support. We'll just leave that there for now. We'll deal with it in a minute. And last but not least, Only Oscars using that member super chat. It's been a member for 4 months. Thank you very, very much for being a part of the Fisherman Fever family. So glad to have joined the membership. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you for joining the membership. Thank you for being a part of it. Helping to keep the lights on. The stuff gets expensive. $50 a month just for the streaming software. We won't go into all the other stuff. So it goes to good use. I promise you. Well, thank you. Alrighty. Folks, I think for the first time in a long time, we finished in less than an hour. I don't believe it. Normally I'm a couple minutes behind. I have to tell you all to bring your questions over to Ed. Scruffy City's going to bed. Have a great night, my friend.
Night,
Hope you're doing well. I saw you in there talking. I didn't get to say hi to you before, so hi to you. Last question here, though. I'll ask you guys before we head over. 81 people still hanging out. Would you all like to see a video of me attempting to treat a tank that has been overrun with algae for a month and a half, 2 months? I mean, it looks bad. Like, it looks like it's probably not savable, but I think I might be able to save it. So let me know if you all would like to see that, or if I should just throw all that in the trash and start over in that tank. We'll give it a second. Danikin Aquatics, $5 super chat. Brother, you didn't have to do that, but I really do appreciate you. Says, what up, gents? LOL. I'm thinking of firing up the Mustang Fish Fam Tour 2. Do it. I would love to get to hang out with you again, man. Absolutely. Ouchiegeddon. I love that, Zen. All right, so lots of guesses. I'll film it then. It's going to be multifaceted algae treatment. We're going to be trying multiple methods to fix it, including changing the lighting out, which is what needs to be done to stop it from happening again. I even see some lurkers coming out to say yes, so I appreciate that. So yeah, we'll do it then. I should be able to film that today or tomorrow. I think I have all the stuff. I think we're going to do a bleach treatment. We're also going to do I'm not going to tell you all the different treatments we're going to do. We're going to do several different treatments. I think I have all the stuff, and we can do that. So that'll be fun. And I'll enjoy sharing that with you all. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but we'll get to find out together, right? Paul Stero saying, let's see the soup. On that note, it is 10:29. Ed, any final thoughts? Any last words?
Nope. We'll see you in the next one.
All righty. Well, until next week, or, technically just a minute over on Ed's channel, a huge thank you to each and every one of you all hanging out with us tonight. Thanks to the moderators, members, lurkers, listeners, super chatters, contributors, questioners, commentators, of course, the replay crew. I love you guys. Until next time,